Hey guys, welcome back to Your Lake Fork Guide. It's about time. It's been way too long. We've got you another episode today of the Guides Network. Today we're going to be talking about a very current topic, and that is the immediate post-spawn. Alright, so we're going to talk about the immediate post-spawn today. But first, let me remind you guys, bassbuck.com. We're coming to the end of April. You still have time to go sign up at bassbuck.com. It's a really cool outdoors forum. And when you sign up in the month of April, if you make at least 10 posts, you qualify to enter for a drawing to win a $500 Cabela's gift card. So get over to bassbuck.com. It's linked right below. Check that out, sign up, make a few posts, talk about some hunting and fishing stuff, and get yourself a chance at $500. Second, we had our first seminar. We're doing free seminars every other Friday at Lake Fork Tackle's store in Emory, Texas. So if you're local to there, if you're going to be in town at the lake, our next one is going to be on the 28th, April 28th, a week from this Friday. April 28th is going to be our next free seminar up there at Lake Fork Tackle. If you like these videos, the Guides Network series, be sure you get up there, because this is basically the same thing, except it's live and in person, and you get to ask us questions. So come check out our free seminars at Lake Fork Tackle every other Friday. The next one is April 28th. Alright, immediate post-spawn. What am I talking about? What do you mean when you say immediate post-spawn? For me, what I'm thinking of is that time period when those fish first pull off the beds. And that's going to be fry guarders. We're going to have fish that have come off the bed and they're hanging around their fry. They're guarding their fry. And also, you're going to have some of the bait spawn is going to be getting ready to go. Particularly the bluegill spawn is what we're going to talk about today. Because those bluegill spawns occur in the exact same areas that the largemouth spawn in. So the largemouth don't have to travel very far. It happens really close to the same time. And those big lazy post spawners can just ease on over there to a bluegill bed, pick them up a little bit of a snack. Now there will be a bit of a gap between the largemouth spawn and the bluegill spawn. But those bluegill will still be up there running the bank, looking for a spot to bed, just like the largemouth do right before they bed, and it still makes them a very easy target. And you'll see a direct reflection of that in today's baits. There's a wide variety of techniques to target these immediate post-spawn fish with. We're going to talk about several of them. You'll see a definite correlation to the matching of the hatch for the bluegill or brim type bait fish. First, like I said, you can see some of this flooded vegetation, shoreline grasses, stuff like that. Those brim are really going to want to get up in that stuff, and those largemouth are going to be right outside of it. And for the fry guarding fish, those fry also love to get up in that flooded stuff, and those fry guarders will be directly underneath or just outside of that vegetation, kind of hanging around that fry. And the same thing correlates to them, because just like we're talking about the ones that are eating the bluegill that are trying to bed, well, those fry guarders, their worst enemy is a bluegill as well. So that's what they're eating the most of. That's what they're targeting the most of, is those brim or bluegill. Alright, so the first thing that I like to start my mornings with during this time of year is a frog. All different kinds of frog. This is probably my favorite right here. That's a spro popping frog. And that color, I don't know what it's called, but we have come to call it Old Yellow Belly in this boat right here. So Old Yellow Belly gets the job done. It gets a lot of bites for me.
I'm not sure I understand.
Siri, I wasn't talking to you. Siri, I wasn't talking to you.
Sigh.
You guys want to talk to Siri? Goodbye, Siri.
Okay, see you soon.
Little Guides Network interrupted by Siri. Look, you cannot plan that type of stuff, okay? Wow, where was I? So old Yellowbelly catches a lot of fish for us, catches a lot of big fish for us. The other one that works really well, buzz frog type frog. This is just a plastic frog. This is a Zoom horny toad. Lake Fork Tackle makes a good frog, and Ribbit also makes a good frog for this. I'm just using a 5/0 hook on this one. On the Lake Fork Tackle frog and the Ribbit, I use a 6/0 EWG. Just tie straight to that, and you're just going to reel that one straight across the surface, just enough to let those legs kick. I use all three of those brands and styles because they all three have a different kick, a different technique, a different sound and action. So that's why I use three different ones. You know, the fish, sometimes they want the real hard gurgle, and that's the Ribbit frog. Sometimes they want the extremely subtle one, which is the horny toad. And a lot of the times it's somewhere in between, which is the Lake Fork Tackle frog. So I'm going to target all these vegetation areas. Wherever I've been seeing fish spawning, where I've been catching spawning fish with bloody tails, now we're being visited by a butterfly as well. So just everybody wants in on the Guides Network. It's a popular thing, I guess. So I'm going to go to the same areas that I've seen those fish spawning, that I've seen some evidence and caught some fish with bloody tails. I'm going to go to those areas, and that's where I'm going to fish to target these bait spawners and fry guarding fish. All right, the next thing I have up is one more topwater. And you guys will notice there's a lot of different techniques that I'm going to show you here today. The big deal is pick the one that fits the area you're fishing best, because not every spawning area has flooded vegetation. If they've been spawning in an area, there's another part of the lake where I've been catching a lot of sight fish, and when I go down there to catch the post spawners, I'm going to start with a Zara spook because there's no flooded vegetation like this. It's kind of a bare bank, hard bottom area, and those fish have been spawning there, so they're still going to be there guarding the fry, looking for brim to eat. So I actually go to a bluegill colored, that's a Zara Spook Junior, and that's my favorite one for this deal. That is a great bait. I've caught a lot of really good fish on that one as well. Next, on a windy day, once I'm past the top water time of the morning, I'm going to go to a square bill, or this is actually the Movement 80X. I'm going to go to a shallow diving, hard wobbling, bluegill colored crankbait. So this is my favorite one right here from the Movement 80X series. I love this. I don't even know what this color's called. Casey's going to kill me over that, but it's just a bluegill bremish looking color, and it catches some toads of fish. When it's blowing hard and you can get them to bite that reaction bait, you really catch some good big fish. Same type areas, still targeting the same type of areas. Obviously we're not going to throw this up into the flooded vegetation, but just right down the edge of it, as close to it as you can get on the wind blown areas. That's where you want to fish that one right there. The next is Texas rig. Texas rig is really good on the fry garters. It's good around the brim beds as well, but it really excels. When I see a fish guarding a fry, I'm going to pick up a Texas rig or a wacky worm, which I'll show you here in a minute. And this color is the one I kind of sight fished with for a while, so I'm going to just stick with it for the immediate post spawn. This is a green pumpkin with gold and purple flake. Kind of see that right there. That's the one that I've been going with, and it actually caught a couple fish today on these immediate post spawners. And then typically the color that I really like a lot is kind of an Okeechobee themed type color. This is watermelon with blue flake, and this is just a 10-inch worm and a creature bait, which this one is a hyper freak. You can use a brush hog, several different creature baits. I like that hyper freak. That tail just goes crazy, and when they're up shallow in an aggressive mood, it's hard to beat that hyper freak. And then of course the old 10-inch worm. This is the Lake Fork Tackle 10-inch worm. I like it. It's got the little ribs in it, gives it a little more action, moves a little more water when it's coming through there. But it's, you know, that's probably caught more fish than anything in the history of man. Is just the old Texas rig worm. And this one's the 10-inch size. So you can go to an 8-inch. 8-inch is fine as well. Now, wacky rig trick worm. This one might be day in, day out the best bait for this situation. This probably definitely gets more bites than anything else, and it does catch some big fish. It's going to catch a lot more smaller fish as well. Caught a couple little ones today on it, but this is just you take a wacky hook. This is the Gamakatsu Finesse Wide Gap Weedless. That's what that hook's called. That's what it looks like. and you just hook that thing right in the middle of the worm there. And redo your weed guard there, and that's what your final product looks like right there. And then I'll take a half of a nail weight, those old Lunker City nail weights. I'll take a half of one, I'll break it in half, and I stick it in the head so that it falls nose down and it stands up when it's on the bottom. Everybody keeps talking about this Nico rig. We've been fishing the Nico rig for a long time. It's been my #1 bite getting bait forever. The only difference is I just use a nail weight. And with that nail weight in the head, that trick worm stands up on the bottom, that tail wiggles around just like a Nico does. So whoever thinks that Nico rig is a new deal, it ain't. We've been doing it for a long time out here. But there you go. That's probably the #1. You can actually, when you see the fry garters, if you can stay back off them when you just see the balls of fry, and the ball of fry is kind of got a reddish tint to it. It's just a big mass of red. It's kind of moving. It's got little tiny microscopic type fry in there. If you can see that from a distance and you see that ball of red kind of moving around that weed line, throw this sucker right in the middle and let it fall underneath them. You almost every time you will catch the fish with that trick worm. So there you go, guys. That's what, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different techniques, 7 different baits. So I know it's a lot to digest. If you had to narrow, let's narrow it down to 3. If I was going to narrow it down to 3, I would go frog, old yellow belly, shallow crankbait, and a wacky worm. Those will be my top 3 for that deal right there, okay? Now, there's a lot of times I'm going to catch the fish on the other ones, but if I had to pick 3, that's the 3 I'd go with right there. Well, I guess that's it. Oh, gear. Let's see, limit rods. We got limit rods on my Texas rig. On my wacky rig, I'm using the 610 medium heavy for my wacky worm. On my Texas rig, I'm using the 7.2 medium heavy for my Texas rig. Both of those I like about 15-pound fluorocarbon. On my frogs, I'm using the 7.4 heavy. I'm telling you something, guys. You know, there's a lot of 7-footer medium heavies, and the limit rods are very, very good. Don't get me wrong, the 7-foot medium heavies are very good, but there's a lot of really good 7-foot medium heavy rods out there for Texas rigging. But when it comes to a frog, I have never ever fished a rod that's as good as the 7.4 heavy for a frog that Limit makes. The Limit 5 Series 7.4 heavy is my favorite frog rod of all time. It has all the backbone and meat that you need, but it has just the right amount of tip to help you walk that frog. You can do all kinds of different versatile action on the frog, and you can also make that bait land so soft, like we heard Ronnie Kelly talk about. That's important. That rod right there is built to do it. I'm telling you guys, if you like the frog, get a Limit 7.4 heavy 5 Series. The crankbait, I'm using the 7.2 medium heavy as well on the crankbait, also 15-pound fluorocarbon. On the frogs, I forgot to mention on the frogs are 50-pound braid. And on the spook, sometimes I'll throw a spook on braid. It helps it walk sharper, it seems like. But you can throw that spook on that 7.2 or that 610 medium heavy, but you're going to need to use like 15-pound mono. But an ideal spook setup to me is going to be the 7.2 medium heavy with 15-pound mono filament line. Oh, for my fluorocarbon line, if you guys want to know what brand I'm using, and it is incredibly strong. It's almost impossible to break sometimes. My fluorocarbon line is actually a fluoro hybrid, and it is the FHP Fluoro Hybrid Pro from Lake Fork Tackle. It's their own line series that they carry, and rumor has it there's a new line coming out that they're coming out with that's going to be some of the most technologically advanced line in braid and fluorocarbon and hybrid and mono that we've ever seen on the market. So stay tuned for that, because I've already gotten to touch it. It's some pretty good stuff. I think that about does it, guys. Covered all the gear, covered the areas, just the same places we've been looking for spawners, and definitely covered all the techniques. There's a lot of them in there, I know. Play with those, vary the baits that you use, vary your retrieves. Just make sure you're around those areas where you can visibly see some bluegill swimming around, and hopefully you can catch a glimpse at some fry every once in a while, and go after it with those techniques. And I promise you, that'll help you in a time where a lot of people struggle. That immediate post spawn gets real tough on a lot of people. This will help you catch a lot more big old bass. So I hope this helps. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Here's a couple fish catches on camera from right here today at Lake Fork, mid-April, immediate post spawn. Check it out. So there you go. Apparently the Hyper Freak doesn't just work for bedding fish, because that's a little post spawn fry garter. He was stuck to the fry. I kept throwing in there, letting that Hyper Freak fall underneath the fry, and he popped it. There you go, guys. Good old late spawner right there. Old Hyper Freak's a deadly deal. Little peanut. But look what he left us. Let's see what he left us here. A piece of meat. What is this guy? Yep. You can just see enough yellow tint on there to tell that that was a little brim. He spit that out while I was getting him off the hook, and he just eaten him. Well, he mostly digested it, so he eaten it a while ago. There's just brim everywhere. There are brim on the bank everywhere. They haven't quite set their beds up yet, but they are up there. They're easy targets, and that's exactly what I like to look for as soon as the bass are done spotted. Because those bass that eat brim, a lot of times, are some of your biggest ones. Don't get me wrong, we got a lot of big fish that can on that shad deal, especially the gizzard shad deal. But I like to target those bluegill eaters because they are right in the same areas that I've been fishing, and they're pretty easy targets. First pit. Oh yeah, first pitch. Oh my goodness. Come up here, really good. Oh no! Oh, that joker was up there guarding. He's got some fry around him. Or she. And I threw in there. He's hawking a little bit. Hawking a little bit. You guys saw it happen. Boom. And I thought I had her drilled. I tried to show off too much. I should have boat flipped her already. When I went to finally boat flip her. Maybe I should have used a net or lipped her. Maybe next time I'll try not to be a dummy. Well, that's it. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. Hope it helped a bunch. If you liked it, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. If you want to see some of our other videos, some of our other instructional stuff, maybe you want to see some competition, maybe you just want to see a day on the water, subscribe to the channel. Go check out the channel page. It'll notify you every time we do a new video. We got 3 a week coming at you, going strong. And y'all come see me at the next live seminar at Lake Fork Tackle Store in Emory, Texas on April 28th. And we will see you next time right here, your Lake Fork Guide. I've done. It gets a lot of bites for me. It gets... Siri, I wasn't talking to you.
Sorry.
Goodbye, Siri.
Okay, see you soon.
Spawning fish with bloody tails. Now we're being visited by a butterfly as well. Everybody wants in on the Guides Network. It's a popular thing, I guess.